everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. You know, if it's Wednesday at 2:00, it's If These Walls Could Talk. And boy, are we going to talk today. But before I even get into that, thank you for being with us. It's always, you could be anywhere, but you're here with us today. And oh my God, I have to share this all with you because I was a little nervous. You know, as a performer, I don't get nervous much, but I was doing a show for the Imperial Court of New York called Latin Explosion. And about 6 weeks ago, you know, I don't know Spanish. I can't roll my R at all. I don't know what's up with that. My friend Brian Alejandro, I never say his name correctly because I can't roll the R, but he's tried to work with me. It doesn't, anatomically, there's something wrong with me. That's what I think. But I ended up picking Shakira's song, Hips Don't Lie. And I thought, who better than to do the Wycliffe Jean part than Brian Alejandro? So we performed this for the Latin Explosion and Industry for the Imperial Court of New York. And of course, everything we do with the Imperial Court is to benefit another non-for-profit. And in this case, it was Sylvia's Place. And I have to tell you, it was so funny. Brian was Wycliffe Jean, I was Shakira, and the song was Hips Don't Lie. And we had a blast doing it. So if you get a chance, please go to my YouTube channel, Wendy Stuart TV. It's floating around out there. It's very funny. People are laughing. We want to make them laugh, right? We always want to leave them laughing. That's, you know, that's just how I roll. So speaking of laughing, this is like the perfect segue for my guest today. A little backstory on my guest today. I happen to be at PANGEA broadcasting and interviewing somebody else. And this fabulous, very good looking guy with a lot of charisma comes in and we got to talking. And he was funny. He was really funny. So we talked and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have you on my show. He's got an upcoming show that he'll be talking about. And my gosh, what a body of work on him. What a body on him. Well, we'll just say a body of work. How's that? But when I put his name out in my advertising, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I know him. I know him. I know him. So I'm going to have him come on in 1 second, and you're going to tell me if you know the actor, the comedian, the writer, the cabaret artist, Steve Hayes. Come on in, Steve.
Hi, doll.
He's laughing. Hi, doll. So here's the thing. We got to center ourselves. Okay, right. I'm always a little off kilter.
You might want me off center. There you
right. Are you off center? Yes. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure.
This is like an ad from the 60s. One of these women is a 35-year-old housewife who does dishes. Show the hands, you know.
Oh, I was going to do a different commercial.
Oh,
Mom, I just don't like douching.
Please, dear, I'd rather do it myself.
I love it. So I'm moving over a little. So Steve, you can slide a little this way. Great. Okay. We're together in the biblical sense. We're here. We're lit. And thank you, everybody.
Are we all lit?
We're lit in the biblical sense. Thank you so much for being here today. So he's such a busy guy. And I was thrilled to get you. You know, I'm reading everything that you've done, where you've been, where you're going. And why does everybody know you?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I mean, please, you know, I'm like a mosquito. I just flit around a lot.
Well, that they know you.
I probably bit a lot of people.
They all have incredible things to say about you.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to owe a lot of money to people.
They're all like, great guy. What a great guy. Oh my gosh, I have to.
No.
I'm telling you, this is what they say about.
Oh, how nice. Well, wow. They can't be related, but that's nice.
How does everybody know you so well?
I don't know. I've been in the cabaret world and the theater and the movies and theater and stuff for years. So I guess people, you in this business, it's a small business. It's a small big city and a small business.
Love it.
You know, yeah.
You're like everybody's good time girl.
Oh, thank you. I've been had by all. Yes, I'm.
You hear that, Jack Phelan? Of course, Jack Phelan knew.
Of course, I love Jack. He's so cute. I love Jack.
Everybody knows
Adorable.
Jack. And our fabulous friend Michael Iannucci, who's currently
Iannucci, my favorite.
I love that you call him that. I want to tell him
cute.
You said that. He's currently in Little Shop of Horrors. He's doing how many different roles?
Oh my God, he's doing everybody but the girl. Don't kid yourself. He's ready.
He's oh my gosh, ready. I just totally love that. So you have such a history in New York. Where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from upstate New York, near Syracuse.
You are not. Oh my gosh.
I am. Yeah, about 35 miles southeast of Syracuse.
Where did you go to school?
I went to a school called Cazenovia High School.
Okay, and I know Cazenovia.
Of course you do. And I taught at the college. I covered all the waterfront.
Oh my God, I went to Binghamton.
Oh my God, I went to Oneonta.
Oh, I went to Oneonta one summer. I was in archaeology, and I was
no wonder
working on.
Oneonta is the perfect place for that.
Well,
there's a lot to dig in there.
Yeah, there is a lot to dig, and they were putting through this highway I-88, and I had.
Yeah,
you remember that? Oh,
sure.
my God, we're bonding over I-88. For those of you that live in upstate New York, you've heard of I-88. But I was digging up projectile points, and I was there for 2 weeks eating Underwood deviled ham. Are you going to ask me why? Because it was like they didn't provide lunch when you're like in a pit and you're a college student.
Listen, if you're in Oneonta, you're out to lunch.
I was out to lunch, and I would buy my Underwood deviled ham and sit by my pit and look for projectile points. I was so sad. And then I found out I was going to Nigeria to live in a village called Ife. So I was 2 weeks in Oneonta. But don't judge me on that.
No, I don't.
Still 2 weeks.
I went through my year at Oneonta going, where are the gay people? Where are the gay
Oh, they were
people?
there?
Yeah, well, you found them.
Did you sing that song, Send in the Gays? Isn't it rich?
No, I have my own song. I sang from Trig, Como Te Gusta Mi Pinga. It kind of works a lot better. But fortunately, I didn't get to do it till a lot later, when I did the movie.
So you grew up in upstate New York.
Yes, I did. And then I got the theater bug. And
when I want to hear about
1976, I moved here. Well, I moved
here in 76.
So did I.
How did we not know each other?
Labor Day weekend of 76. Yeah. And I've been in the same apartment that whole time.
You're kidding.
No, I come home at night. There's a little M on the door for mausoleum. They're getting ready.
Wait, that makes you rent stabilized.
Yes, exactly. That's the only stable thing.
I figured it was the only thing that was stable, but you know what? It's the most important thing.
Well, it is. I wouldn't be able to stay here if I didn't have it. Thank God. So knock on wood.
And I think you just brought up a really important point of what we need to keep our acting community going and how we need the support of the city. I've been after this for a long time for subsidies and other things for the arts to make life.
To keep New York the unique place that it is. The thing I feel the most sorry for young people, when we moved to the city at that time, you could still leave college or high school and come to the city just to see what it was like to live in New York as a young person. You can't do that anymore.
No, you can't.
Like an impossibility
my first apartment, $500 a month, 12-foot ceilings, brick walls, wood burning fireplace, 322 West 80th Street, and a tree that turned yellow every fall in front of my window.
And that was outside. You should see the inside. Unbelievable.
Enormous windows at $500 a month. Yeah. And then they started really gentrifying, and they got rid of the SROs, and they offered
No, they get rid of the gays. And once you get rid of the gays, there goes the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, it's just,
there was still a lot of gays in the 70s.
Where were you? Where'd you move? Oh, yeah. The 70s were a good time.
So I moved from the west side to the east side at that point because I got a good place over on the east side. But I was Studio 54. Were you at Studio 54?
No, I hated Studio 54.
You weren't.
No. I didn't want some doorman telling me whether I was cute enough to get in the door. Fuck that. Pardon me. I can't say that.
Oh my God, he cursed on the show like that. That so never happened.
Oh yeah, well. But I just but I went to all the other clubs, 12 West.
Yeah, 12 West. We love it.
Disco, the Anvil.
Well, of course. Okay, here we go. We're outing him right now. The Anvil.
Oh my God.
A moment of silence for the Anvil.
Oh my God, that floor was a petri dish. I never saw anything like it.
It absolutely.
But they had the best music. Oh my God, the dancing was incredible.
Incredible. So we came up the same time in New York. Now you came here after college.
Yep. After I taught college. I graduated from college, then I taught college for a year and paid off my student loans.
What a mensch.
And I moved to New York with $400, and I knew one person in 1976.
$800.
Yep.
I have $400 more than you.
We bark with the big dogs.
With the big dog. Woof, 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 woof. So you came here I'm assuming, to start auditioning.
Yes, ostensibly, but I went right to work in gay bars.
What I have to hear about your work in gay bars.
Well, I was
digging up everything about Stephen.
I was coming down to be a serious actor. And of course, I was like a kid in a candy store. There were so many gorgeous men, and I was out of control. God. So I got a work job in one of the oldest gay bars in the city. Tell me which one. Harry's Back East.
Oh God. That's my neck of the woods.
Yeah,
it's
that's where I learned to bartend.
Oh
no, it's gone. And it was a great time. I had a really good time. And then at the same time, I decided I was going to get an acting job. So I started auditioning for everything, and I was I was not getting.
But anything. You have to tell everyone how you did that, because we all used to get every Thursday what publication.
Oh, Backstage.
Backstage, you knew which newsstands had it.
Yeah, and you
every
knew
Thursday.
where was going and who didn't. If you didn't have an agent, where you could go. If you weren't union, what you
right,
could do.
Right.
So
I saw
a
this, Bible.
It was, and I saw this ad in a Backstage for a nudie musical review called The Greenwich Village Follies. Okay, so I knew that I had to strip for this audition. So I thought to myself, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, well, if the lighting is bad, I might be able to get away with this. So I hiked myself down, and it was at the old Ridiculous Theater building.
Ridiculous Theater Company building,
at Christopher Street. So I get down there, it's in the dead of winter, right? And I go in, and it's so cold. There's no heat. It's so cold that I'm getting no cooperation there.
I understand.
My extremities have gone to my ears by now. I'm going like this, trying to get them down.
Right, but everything else was limp.
I was freezing. So I'm down there going, come on, come on, come on, come on. And I hear this noise behind me, and I turn around, and this very distinguished man is coming. He's got a sweater tied around like in the 70s around his neck, and he's holding this script, and he says, "Are you here to audition?" And I said, "Yes!" And I dropped my pants, and he went, "The Shakespeare Repertory Company auditions?" And I said,
I love, great story.
Yes. And I pulled my pants up, and I did a cold reading, and I ended up doing Shakespeare for 3 years. That was my first job.
Okay, that's it. So these are the great New York stories that we love to hear.
Yeah, he would go, I'd overhear him at parties going, he gave the best cold reading of Shakespeare I ever
Literally.
heard. But I couldn't understand why he dropped his pants,
Because it was a cold
It was the coldest reading. Yeah, exactly.
Coldest reading
And if
ever.
you can find it, let me know,
So funny. So you were bartending at night and then working in this play during the
and working in these plays
and
playing every wet cellar in Soho and Chelsea and anywhere that we could set up.
Any little black wet box anywhere in the city, because it was work.
Yeah, it was work.
Right,
and
you
totally just did it. And I always, I always did it for the work. Right. I always wanted to work. Well, at that time, I was also doing telephone surveys and answering things like that, telephone sales jobs.
So you did all of those.
So, all those jobs,
call center things, and all of that.
Sure. And I was doing that, and I met this really funny woman named Caitlin Ryman, and we decided to become a comedy team. And we went down to the Duplex and auditioned for Irv Rabel and Rob Hoskins and Bruce Hopkins, and they put us into the Duplex, and we took off. Nobody was doing, the first review that we got was in Variety, who said that we were going to be the next Nichols and May, and we took off like crazy. And I never got, everybody usually went the agent route and stuff. I was a lousy auditioner, and I knew it. So I just started creating my own work.
Very smart, because that's what all of us are doing
always
now.
advocate
so
that.
You did
I'm
that
still
for,
doing that.
And so, I agree with you.
So because for me, it was always about the work. It's never been, if good things come and that's okay.
The universe sends it to you, fine, but it has to be. I got that about you.
Yeah, I have to work. So we took off, and then that took off for us, and then that we parted company. We had a kind of a professional divorce, and then nobody else. I decided I did characters, so nobody else, no men were doing, basically were doing what Lily Tomlin did. So I just started
brilliant.
I started doing characters. So I would do like 12 an hour, and I went and I opened it, Don't Tell Mamas.
I love it. All the spots.
I opened it. Yeah. I opened it with Karen Mason. I was Karen Mason's opening act, and Nancy Lamont was with Brooke Hartney. The four of us, we interchanged. And then when I shot, I did all my stuff at the Duplex there, Panache.
I remember Panache.
Sidney Meyer. And then when I shot Trick, I had to do a song in Trick, Como Te Gusta to Mi Pinga, and that was one of the last things shot at 88. So that was shot in 88. So sort of a bon
so I want to get into Trick, but first I have to do our station identification.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I have to remind myself. I have a little clock here to do that. How pathetic is that? Okay, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with the incredible Steve Hayes. We'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about Trick.
Okay. Because I'd done so many shows at the Duplex in 88, Jim Fall saw me there and had me start coming in to do readings of this as it started out. And I did like 10 readings of it or something like that. And then
what made you so perfect for the part you're reading?
I don't know. I mean, well, he's a crazy flamboyant cabaret boy. Jeez.
Oh my God. Talk about his stretch.
Yeah, exactly. so, you know, that when he called me up, he said, you have this, you know, you got this role. At that time, I had written a musical that was making the rounds, and I was out in Seattle doing a production.
Okay, hold on. I'm not going to let you just gloss over that. You wrote a musical.
I co-wrote a musical. It was called
Fabulous.
Kiss Me Quick Before the Lava Reaches the Village. And it was with a guy named Peter Ekstrom, and we had productions all over the place. And I was out there, and he called me up and he said, Stephen, I knew that they interviewed a lot of different people because they had told me this was a star part. And I went, okay, because that usually happens, you know, it was a flashy part.
Right.
And they said, Jim called me up and said, Stephen, we did videos of all the readings and nobody can see anybody in that part but you. So it was my turn.
Yeah.
And, you know, years later, this has always stuck with me. I went to see Gregory Peck's one-man show.
Oh, yeah.
And he came out dressed as Atticus Finch, you know, and, you know, he told stories. And they were asking questions in the audience, and some person said to him, why do you think you got the Oscar for To Kill a Mockingbird and you didn't get it for all the things you'd been nominated for? And he said, and it's nothing new, but it just resonated with me. He said, oh, you know, I really don't know, except sometimes it's just your turn.
Oh my God, I totally believe that.
And the most important thing that
Steve,
you can
don't you believe that?
Oh yeah. And he said the most important thing you can do is to be ready and grab your turn when it comes.
Yeah.
And I thought, yep, that's true. So it was my turn. So
and with you, it is all about the work, and you know this.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that being said, you know, when it's your turn, it's your turn.
Yeah, I do. And so so that's what happened, and it opened, and we went to Sundance, and it was great, and it was lovely. We had a Hollywood premiere at the Egyptian Theater. It was wonderful, and it took off, and it was at that time the most successful independent gay film ever made because it's a sweet romance.
What year was this?
1999.
There weren't a lot of like gay romantic
and it was
films
so
in
romantic, and it was very much like the old movies.
Pulling you over this way a little bit.
I grew up with
listening to Port.
I grew up with the old movies, you know, and old movies were.
You love old Hollywood.
Oh, I love old Hollywood, and so it was very much like that. It had a sweet romance. It's about these two guys who pick each other up. And to have sex one night, and they try to find a place all night long, and they can't. And during the course of that, they fall in love with each other. And then they walk into the dawn down in the West Village, and you see the World Trade Centers, and David Friedman wrote this incredible score, and the music comes up, and it's just gorgeous. So
beautiful.
I feel very pleased. And since that time, a lot of people have come up to me in all sorts of places and said to me that movie was very integral in their coming out and being comfortable with their sexuality.
How cool. That was what, late 90s?
Late 90s, 99, yeah.
So I'm curious, okay, because you and I came to New York at the same time.
Yeah.
I lost 3 address books of people with AIDS. What were you doing during that time?
Well,
How were you dealing with this?
I was getting sober. I was surviving. About mid 80s, about 87. To be precise. I lost everything. I lost relationship. I lost business things.
But so many people were getting sick.
And my friends started to die.
Your friends started getting sick.
That's when I started to get sober seriously. I had started once before when I was in college.
Right.
I had an incident where I came home, and I always describe myself as a garden variety, addictive, compulsive personality. You know, if I don't drink, I want to drug. If I don't drug, I want to have sex. If I don't have sex, I want to spend every dime.
So you're an addictive personality.
I am like that. Yeah. So the first time I came home from college when I was a junior in college, and I was addicted to amphetamines. And
Black Beauties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never liked.
I took one look at this personality, and I'm like, oh, Black Beauties.
No, with all my energy, see, Black Beauties mellowed me out.
Oh, that's really.
I would
right.
I would take
you
a
had
Black
the opposite. Yeah, right.
It would have the opposite of me. So my parents didn't know where I was coming from, and that was where that.
How old were you when you started
story
doing drugs?
It's college.
It was college.
Yeah, it was college that did it. I was the best little boy in the world.
You
growing
were.
Up. Yeah, and I was really in a lot of pain because I knew I was gay really early, and my father was a big deal in my town, and I just became the class clown to survive. I came home every night.
I have heard this story
so many times.
Right, because you can do the humor, and that gets you through.
Yeah.
Were you an only child?
No. I have a sister. We're 4 years and a day apart. She's 4 years older than I am.
All right.
Yeah.
So you were in a small town.
Yeah.
You know, your dad was
Beautiful
a pivotal play Casanova. Did I say it right?
No, well, actually, a hamlet out in the district.
Hamlet.
It's called New Woodstock. It's a little town outside.
It's really
of Casanova.
tiny. You come
tiny.
from a really rural area.
Oh yeah, and all my friends were farm kids, and I ran in the country, and I played hard, and I love to go back. My cousin lives in my parents' old house, so I go there and visit.
Oh, how nice that you still can go.
I always.
You know what? So many of us can't go home again.
And I was lucky enough that the Red House Arts Center, which is a brand new theater in Syracuse, they started having me come and stuff. And I opened it with La Cage aux Folles, their big theater with La Cage aux Folles, and I did my one-man show, and I did Hairspray up there and Hamlet up there. I did a lot of shows. Yeah. So it was nice to come back and
you're such a great role model for any local kids that would aspire.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
How incredible. So your dad was a player in a small town.
My dad was the local plumber, and he was the best hunter and fisherman. I had to do all that.
So this is kind of like
fishing and hunting and do all that stuff.
I bring this up, Steve, because this is like, forgive me for labeling, but it's some macho stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you were wanting to tap dance your way to the stars.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was, I'd wait till they all left the house, and then I'd push all the furniture to one side of the room, and I'd get naked and hold up a hairbrush and sing Aretha Franklin in the mirror.
I love it. I love it.
Until my sister walked in on me and never let me forget it.
Right, but she didn't judge you on that.
She judged me on everything.
Oh, she
did? Lucy on Charlie Brown.
Yeah, of course.
That was my sister.
That was your sister.
Lucy. Now we're very, very close. Thank God.
Because I could sense there's a loving relationship.
Oh no. She was very acerbic.
Joey Arias told me the best story as a kid, because he was way out of the box.
Oh yeah,
not Joey.
Yeah.
But he used to take like cardboard cartons, and strap them onto his shoes and make high heels. That was his high heels. Mm-hmm. But he, from what I got from him, he was just allowed to be. Yeah. Nobody interfered with that creativity.
No. I was the first. We were the first generation that our parents used the TV to babysit us. So my mother would come in and sit me down in front of the TV and say, "Watch this movie. Right. It's good." Right. And I would come, and my mother was an actress without a vehicle. She was bigger than life.
I knew it came from somewhere, and that's where I was going, because Dad was a plumber. He hunted and fished.
Yeah.
It had this Steve had to
I look like him and I act like her.
And so you think really wanted to be an actress.
Oh yeah, but she was in her house.
Right.
We would, and she was like Susan Hayward in the 50s. Susan Hayward. Remember Susan Hayward? Mm-hmm. My mother was like that. Everything had that kind of dramatic connotation.
She'd
go, "You do your homework."
I love that. Right.
So we were just craving spotlight, and I always say my sister and I both went into fields where we got the love of strangers. Like my
what is your sister?
She's a geriatric nurse, head nurse. She was.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
She went and got nursing. She got the love of people, and I went into showbiz.
That is funny. Yeah. It's the approval and love.
Yeah.
It's interesting, this conversation. My mother modeled with a woman named Shirley Shrift, who was Shelley Winters.
Oh God!
And another woman named Lucille Ball, and all three of them modeled together in New York. Of course, where they went on to. And my mother there was a lot going on. My grandmother got Alzheimer's. My mother left the industry, and I grew up with all of these incredible stories.
Oh, sure.
You know what the women looked like then, and the red lips.
Oh, and I love them.
Perfect. They were so stylized. I grew up with that in the Bronx. And as a little kid, I would think, what am I doing here?
Well, and it's larger than life. It's larger than life. And I love that. I love that about these old movies.
Right.
That they were big melodramas. They were bigger than life. It was always a little bit more. Right. And I like that. Everything got, as Betty Davis used to say, everything got so real.
Right.
It
got so real. Yeah.
Too real. I like it with a little bit of, with the thundering scores and
oh my God. Like yeah. Well, that's the drama. Your mother had that in the house.
Yeah. So it was just an extension, So when I came to New York, that's kind of what I was looking for. And I got to do that because when I went on Cabaret, Cabaret was very, very I love this room because this room reminds me of the
Pangea. For those of you watching, we're at Pangea. I mean,
it's like the rooms of the 80s. It's like living rooms. You know, you're comfortable.
There's nothing like this. There are other rooms around, but they're tiny. This place has such an ambiance and a spiritual connection.
Oh, it does. You can feel it.
You can
and everybody's comfortable here. I've seen so many shows. No matter who does a show here, they make it adapted. You know, that's how the old rooms used to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved. And it was very experimental. You could be theatrical in cabaret.
Yes.
And you couldn't in comedy clubs, and you couldn't, in nightclubs. You could do it in cabaret. And so I created these characters, men, women, children, animals, no matter what.
That you could do in your cabaret performance.
Yeah, and I did them all. I did 12 in an hour. Oh, that's what I used to do.
What did you call that show?
Steve Hayes.
12. Steve Hayes 12 in an hour.
Well, yeah, the best title I ever.
Steve Hayes dozen.
The best title I ever had. It's going to be the title of my autobiography. Is called "We Only Have Brains on Tuesdays," because that was the sign in the window of the kosher butcher on my block.
I love it
for years.
Right, of course, right. Cow brains.
Yeah, we only have brains on Tuesdays. Isn't that great?
Station identification. You're watching. I love these. I need to be holding up a product or something. You're watching If These Walls Could Talk with the amazing, funny, charismatic Steve Hayes. So it's all about me. So I have a question for you. We talked about getting sober, and I'd like to go into that a little more.
Okay.
The 80s was extremely dicey in New York. By late 80s, so many people were dying, and the drug use that ran rampant before that, as well as alcohol. Many people didn't survive it. Why do you think you survived it? Because getting sober is a terminology. What was it that let you shine through?
Okay. I think that because I did what they told me to do. I shut up.
You shut up.
And I did what they told me to do. And when I went into AA, they had a lot of people have trouble with this, whatever spiritual aspect of the higher power aspect. I never had any trouble with that.
Of course.
I wanted somebody else in the driver's seat. That was fine with me.
I like it.
But I had a wonderful old sponsor, because my head was always, ADD.
Right. Oh, you have ADD?
Oh, sure.
I would have never even thought that he
Anyway, so I went in, when I went in, my sponsor would say to me, your trouble is you're not in the present.
Right.
So what I'm going to say to you is, don't drink, go to meetings,
right,
and don't have arguments with people who aren't there. And that's been my mantra always.
That last one, by the way, applies to so many people.
Yeah. So what I did was, I just did whatever they told me to do. And if they told me, and I was kind of smart about it. And I said, so how do I do that every day? He said, I'll tell you how you do it. If you walk on Broadway, walk down West End. It's all simple. If you cross at 96th Street, cross at 86th Street. If you shop at the Food Emporium, shop at the ShopRite instead. Go and do anything that takes you out of your element and makes you stay in the moment.
And making you break a pattern. The way to stay in the moment is to break a pattern. But breaking patterns is hard for many of us.
I felt that if I was going to make it, I had to get sober, because I would die.
You knew you were going to die.
Well, of course, alcohol leads you one way, and it's to the cemetery.
Yeah,
it is. There's no question, and it takes everybody with you. So what I did was, after I'd been in a while, I started going to Al-Anon as well.
Right.
So I could see what damage I had done to other people, and what the effect the alcoholics have on their loved ones and friends, and what you're doing to them. So I could get a kind of a full picture. And then I would get up in the morning. My negative committee would start really early.
Call them the negative committee?
Oh, yeah, they start
early.
You open up your eyes and you go, why aren't you finally with your career? How come you don't look at it? You're really getting old.
My negative committee kicks in at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it does. So I would get up and I would go to a meeting at 6 in the morning, and I wouldn't leave until probably 12:15. I'd go through 4 meetings in my area.
Amazing.
We're very blessed here, because New York has
options.
Meetings for every single kind of problem that you have. And New York Intergroup is so important, because you can find a meeting to fit your needs. There's no excuse not to do it. It's just the best thing in the whole world. And as a result, I was able to go through all of my friends' deaths, and there were so many, and my parents. But I was also able to do the successful things.
Right.
And I was sober.
The deaths, by the way, are part of life. This is what,
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
you know, that's just the way it is.
Right.
But unfortunately, we had to encounter it all at once. You know, I
Yeah.
often say I didn't go to Vietnam, but I didn't miss the war.
Oh my God, if you blow me away with that, that's incredible.
They all died, you know.
Right.
And for some reason, my higher power, God, said, blessed me, and I didn't. And that was okay. And that was great. So I just figure I just try to I believe in an Eastern philosophy sort of thing, you know, that you only get to keep what you keep away.
Right.
So, you know, we're down here to create, to learn, acquire knowledge and pass it on before we head
Absolutely.
up. If we had all the answers, we wouldn't have to be here.
Right.
So I just kind of through my humor and through my work, I try to get that across. I'm sounding really terrible. I mean, I'm really sounding like
no, not even 100%, because this is what you need to know. This is why I went there, because there's a lot of valuable message in what you're saying. And what this show is about is really getting that out there. We have been through hell in a handbasket.
Yes, we have. This pandemic is not our first pandemic.
No.
I lived through polio, the polio pandemic. And I lost friends to that.
Well, I should have lived through that too, but I was not touched by that.
Well, I had friends who had polio. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then we had, AIDS.
AIDS was just.
That's why I went during COVID. I just did whatever they told me.
Right.
I did whatever they told me. Oh, I don't want to wear a mask. Tough crap.
Yeah.
Wear your mask.
Put the damn
don't
mask
endanger
on,
the people that you love or yourself. Just do it. It's too bad that it's an inconvenience. It's too bad.
Right. Just do it.
Just do it. So anyway. So what else did you want to say?
But you're like but you know what? It's about doing the right thing, and you are. So I have a wonderful, wonderful video on Steve that we want to show now. And this is from the video that we're playing now.
Hitchcock?
Yes. That's the one you sent me.
Yes, I'm doing a one-man show as Alfred Hitchcock. It's called Steve Hayes with a Hitch. Hitch was my first love. My first great love is Alfred Hitchcock. My favorite movie is Vertigo.
Oh my gosh.
And my favorite movie. So I decided, you get to a point, I'm going to be 70 in January.
I can't believe it.
And so I thought, well, I've got to do, it's all about reinvention, always about reinvention. So I decided I would do a movie where Alfred Hitchcock came back as a ghost from the dead and talked about his career. And that's what this is
What
about.
A great idea. I can't wait to see this. Take it away.
Good evening. My name is Orson Welles. Surprise. For those of you who don't read books, newspapers, watch television, go to the movies, watch the internet, subscribe to Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, it may be necessary for me to introduce myself. My name is Alfred Hitchcock. And I made movies. I've been dead for 40 years. You may be wondering, why didn't anyone tell him? I really don't know. What am I doing here? I don't know that either. You also may be wondering if I'm here to answer the big question, which of course is what happens to us once we've passed on. Well, if I tell you, it'll ruin the suspense and spoil the surprise. Suffice it to say, you'll all know eventually. Since I spoke incessantly about my life and career when I was alive, it's only fitting that I do that now that I'm dead. So I think it's important at this particular juncture, to give you a little background information on me. I was born in London on August 13th, 1899. My father was a greengrocer. He died relatively early. He was responsible for my first experiments in suspense. When I was 5 years old or so, My father took me down to the local police station. He told the constable to lock me in a cell for 5 minutes for some unknown reason. I can't remember why. The constable did this and left me alone. After 5 minutes, he came and said to me, "This is what we do to bad little boys." I've been terrified of the police ever since. In fact, years later, when I received the American Film Institute Life Achievement Award, they asked me to impart some advice on young filmmakers. I said, "Stay out of jail."
First of all, I love the way you encompassed Hitchcock.
Oh, thank you.
And then the humor, of course, with it. How totally fabulous. Did you have cotton? What did you have in your mouth?
No, I'm just fat.
Oh my God.
I just did it in the mouth.
I want to see you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Out there.
But you kept it going though.
Well, you have to get into your head, I said to somebody said to me, "How come you're doing Hitchcock?" I said, "Look, at this stage of the game, in
You
the
can do
daytime
anything you want.
I look like Alfred Hitchcock. In the day, I look like Winston Churchill at night. And if it's a good morning, I look like Margaret Rutherford." And you never saw them in the same room twice.
Stop.
Okay?
Brilliant character
Thank
for you.
Thank you.
I have to, normally I leave the comments to the end, but we have such incredible comments on here. Michael Iannucci, Trick is a wonderful film, and Steve is wonderful in it. Jack Phelan. Okay, if Jack has a question, I'm going to jump back to that. Bobby Hedgeland Taylor wanted you to know that he argues with invisible people all of the time. You know what, Bobby? I'm not surprised. Thank you for tuning in. Michael, again, bravo, Steve, that you overcame what you did. The world's a better place. And Bobby Hedgeland Taylor said, brilliant impression. Thank you, Teresa Sabin, for tuning in. And if I knew how to scroll this better, I would be able to get more comments. Hang on. Are you technical at all? No, you're not, Steve. You're not even saying anything.
No, I don't say anything. If I touch this thing, it will blow up.
It'll blow up. So I had other comments, but I see Jack's comment. I think Ike Avelli tuned in. Ike, love you and thank you. December 3rd, you can catch Ike's show at the Triad. Jack Phelan asked, I don't know if I should be asking this, but because Jack's a little outrageous. Ask about Robert Osborne and TCM.
Oh, well, I was invited by TCM to come down for their 20th anniversary.
That TCM is
Turner Classic Movies.
Okay.
And I was invited to come down in 2014 for their 20th anniversary. And to introduce a movie with Robert Osborne.
Oh, how cool.
Because of Tired Old Queen at the Movies.
Right.
And when I got down there, they said to me, "We want you to introduce this movie called Them!" Exclamation point, which was a science fiction movie from the 1950s about giant ants in the desert.
Oh my God,
and
how
they
funny.
Said, "Are you all right with that?" I said, "Sure. It's like a family reunion on my mother's side. Giant ants, little uncles, and my cousins screaming in terror." So I had a wonderful time. Yeah, it was great. And I got to sit in the red chairs and meet wonderful Robert Osborne, whose book I'd had next to my bed about his history of the Academy Awards. I memorized that and I had it for 45 years and I took it down and he
oh my God, how amazing.
We should talk about Tired Old Queen at the Movies.
We are, yeah, that's next on my agenda because that's a huge part of your life.
Well, it is now.
You've been doing that, what, 13 years?
13 years,
That is a very long time. And you were, I would say, ahead of the game. A lot of people are doing YouTube stuff and podcasts and all of that. You were way ahead of the curve.
Well, I don't know. Well, what happened was I have this wonderful mentor and director, Vincent Cardinal, and he's been my go-to person for years. And he had this idea. He said, Stephen, I think you should be a household name. I said, you and me both.
Yeah, right.
And he said, I think what we'll do is we'll come into your crazy apartment, which is all movie memorabilia and stuff. And he said, we'll hand you a DVD and off the top of your head, you'll talk about a movie like you do at every dinner party.
It's
and we'll air once a month. What do you want to call them? And I said, well, let's call it what it is. Tired Old Queen at the Movies. And that's how it became.
When I first met Steve, when he walked into Pangea, because he's going to be doing a show here, and he started talking. I swear, I didn't hear anything except I thought he introduced himself as a tired old queen.
Yeah. Well, I figured if I did
know, it's like so funny.
well, since I'm headed in that direction anyway, I figured if anybody else called me that, I wouldn't be offended. I'd already done it myself. You know?
Live the label. Actually, it's very funny because people will remember your show.
Oh yeah, it's a good
little
moniker. Yeah, and the thing is, I guess the thing is that it's now we have 4 million subscribers worldwide.
Oh
we have
my God,
4 million hits, so we have 15,000 subscribers. But the nicest thing about it is that the fun thing is that I try to get young people and people to watch these classic black and white movies that are just going out. And I don't criticize them. I don't take them apart. I just say, this movie is so great. And if I love it, I do it. If I don't love it, I let somebody else do it down the line. But that's what I do. I don't criticize the movies. I don't say, this and that. I might say, well, she had some bigger hits than this, but I love this one because ba 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 ba.
Right.
And Betty Davis, Joan Crawford,
all the greats.
Alfred Hitchcock, Cary Grant, all those people. And I want people to go back and watch these movies because they were story driven, character driven, and they were about words. They were about dialogue.
Right.
They were about people interacting with people.
And you just said the character driven thing. I interviewed the guy that just came out with the biography of Boris Karloff. The man behind, the man behind the monster. Have you seen?
Yes, I have.
You saw the documentary?
Yeah, no, well, of course. Yes.
Oh, you did. It just came out.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen the documentary.
But you do it really well. You would be very interested.
Oh yeah,
his story, Boris Karloff's story,
is very interesting. Those stars and taking Karloff apart, especially, is those stars did a lot of radio.
Right.
So they
they
worked on their voices. Everybody had a completely distinctive voice.
Right.
In a minute, without even being introduced, you knew who was talking.
Right.
It was Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn had that voice.
She says all
and then Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart.
How many characters do you do?
Oh, I do a lot of them. Betty Davis always talks with teeth, or Susan Hayward. They always had these distinctive voices. And Boris Karloff, how about in Malevolence?
Yes, the malevolent voice of Boris Karloff.
So wonderful, I saw a movie with him not too long ago where he played an evil Indian chief, he came out. It was a Cecil B. DeMille movie called Unconquered, and he had played a character named Gaya Sutra, and he came out in Indian drag or Indian garb, not drag, is Indian costume, and they said, he's white man bring fear. Oh my God.
Dress,
you couldn't get rid of. You couldn't get past that now. I mean, But back then, he could do anything. He was just.
Well, it was all about the character.
It was the character, and when you watch
personalities.
And he had such tenderness. When you watch the Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, there's so much vulnerability and feeling in his faces. And
Steve, I so totally love that you love this, know all of this. I'm going to turn you on to a fabulous person. His name's John DeLeo. He has a gazillion books out about this. He is the master of everything that you talked about. You should get some of his books.
Okay.
They are, and the fact that you can do all of these characters, that is so impressive.
Oh.
I'm impressed. I am, because could you always do voices, or this came from?
I guess I had an ear for it. I
don't
have an ear necessarily.
He had an ear for it.
The good ear. I don't have necessarily an ear for accents, like some people do, but I have an ear for voices and because those people had such distinguished voices, they just did. You went,
but everything about them was distinguished. Mm-hmm. Everything, not only their voices, their whole sensibility.
Oh yeah, and they created a character. They created that was their product. That's why people will say, well, this person wasn't like this character. No, they never were. The first thing you have to realize is that what you're seeing on the screen is a product. Right. It has nothing to do with who they are in their personal life.
Exactly.
And they might try to emulate that character in their personal life, but then they're acting twice as much because they're acting like that character.
Right.
Cary Grant used to say, everybody wants to go and wake up next to Cary Grant. I wish I could.
We're getting it all today.
He just, it was hard. Rita Hayworth used to say that too. Rita Hayworth broke your heart. She used to say, everybody takes home Rita Hayworth and they wake up with me.
Oh gosh.
So they're not, but the product was so amazing. I was watching Mildred Pierce the other day.
Oh God, you were really going into it.
Mildred Pierce is just, brilliant.
Brilliant.
And Joan Crawford, just put those old plots on and wore them and carried a picture. Right. She used to say, you know, Betty Davis would say, well, I'm the actress and Joan's the movie star.
You did.
And Joan Crawford would say, well, Betty may be the actress, but not every movie. Betty may be I may be the movie star, but not every actress can carry a picture.
You
know.
And
she was
love
like,
it.
You know, all those people like John Wayne and Joan Crawford and those they were known as movie stars. They were such great actors. They just carried it. Or the underrated ones, people like Errol Flynn and Tyrone Power, who did those.
They were. Why were they so underrated?
I don't know, because they made it look too easy.
Wow.
They made it look too easy, and people took it for granted.
Right.
You know, unless they just did one after another. It's so hard to make that dialogue sound real, you know, and those swashbucklers and do all that stuff or be as beautiful as Ty Power was, you know, and try to break out of that because they were just constantly putting him back into it, you know. I saw Nightmare Alley was a wonderful change of pace for him. And
God, you know your movie history.
Oh
here.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like I just love it.
With the classic. By the way, Clover Welsh just popped on and said it's great to see you. And not to get off topic, but she said you were both in Big Gay Musical.
Yes, we were.
Wow.
Yes, we were. The Big Gay Musical. I played God in the Big Gay Musical. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
He can do
Casper's movie.
Okay, you're just blowing me away because you can do every Hollywood classic performer, and then you play God in the Big Gay Musical.
I'll tell you a funny
thing. How do you have such a range?
I know. I'm at home on the range. You know what? When I was walking on the street at ATT about a year ago, and this great big guy was coming towards me, and he was like young, and he was very pierced and tattooed, and he had a beard. He was huge, and he passed me, and he kind of bumped me as he passed me, and I went, "Oh dear," and I felt like somebody was behind me, so I turned around and he was towering over me like this, and I looked up at him like this, and he went, "Are you the tired old queen of the movie?" I said, "Yes, I are."
It is and then he said, the tired old queen.
Are you the PANGEA guy? In Trick? I said, "Yes, I am." So I'm known as God and the PANGEA guy and the tired old queen at the movies. Those are three not bad things to be.
No, and how cool, someone recognized you.
Oh, he was rapturous. He was like, "Oh God."
He was so excited.
He was so excited. He had come to get some award for being a big gay bear that year. And
who was it? I know all the big gay bears.
He was a gay bear of like 2018 or something like that. He had come to New York to go to Stonewall to get the award. Was it
Big Gay Bear? Okay. Oh my God, I remember when they had that. Yeah, now
he just saw me.
I'm gonna have to Google Big Gay Bear 2000. I don't know. I said, "You're a tired old queen. Yeah, we need to find."
I said, "Really?" Bear. Exactly. I said, "I was Green and Barrett," and that's what mine thing is.
Oh my God. You have managed to have such an incredible career. You brought up early on when we were talking, never really having an agent.
No, I've had them. I've had a lot of them. But they never knew what to do with me. They would always say, "I don't quite know what to do with you." And bless their hearts, they tried, but I would just go, "It's okay. I'll just keep working." And I would work and people would see me and they'd hire me.
But you know how many of us fit the mold for that? Tim Moss is not here today. A list of so many of my incredibly talented friends that you've seen perform at PANGEA, that are in plays, that are in movies. We don't have agents.
Well, yeah, and
like you, I've had so many of them, and it's like, why am I even doing this? Because I can represent myself better.
Because you get people like I got you today. We have people like Kevin Maloney.
Oh, we love Kevin from Tweed.
Oh my God,
let's talk about Kevin from Tweed.
Tweed is the bomb. Tweed is the best for downtown performance artists. I've been so blessed to be included in the Tweed family for so many years, and I've done.
How many years has Kevin been doing Tweed?
Oh my God! If I wouldn't even begin to speculate. He is it, and he has created and made so many people's lives and kept us working and done so much for us. And when you get people who are mentors like that,
he's
like
amazing.
or my friend Vince Cardinal, who was the head of the musical theater department at the University of Michigan, and he was the head of the musical department at Connecticut State, and he would hire me to do musicals. He got me the last 10 years I've been doing musicals. I did Hairspray, I did The Modern Major General and the Pirates of Penzance.
The whole range of things.
So that's what keeps you moving, recreating. That's why I did this Hitchcock thing. I thought, okay, well, so what's next?
Well, because what's next is you have to keep working no matter what.
That's right.
Listen, I just did Shakira and Latin Explosion.
I know you did.
And I was I really agonized over that.
I ask you a question?
I just kept watching. This is my rehearsal process. The elliptical trainer at Crunch. I get on the machine And then this is the beauty of masks. Okay. I put a mask on. Normally I don't wear a mask to work out, but when I'm going to rehearse, because I'm not a singer, I don't even carry a tune well. But when I have my mask on and I'm singing, I sound good to myself. It's amazing what the mask does. That's my rehearsal process. I have the video up in front of me of whoever or whatever character I'm trying to play. And I don't memorize things. It just all gets in here and then it just comes out.
Well, that was the beauty of this Hitchcock thing. You know, the quote that I did.
That was great.
The opening quote that I do with that is I pulled out from All About Eve, which is one of my favorite movies. George Sanders says that at the beginning. I just adapted it in there because I like to remind, it's kind of my reminder that I'm the title queen at the movies and that I love the movies. And, you know, it's not just Hitch, it's everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just love to incorporate things. I just love movies. And whenever, one of the greatest joys that I have had is people contacting me and go, oh my God, I never knew about this movie. Or I saw this when I was a kid and I didn't know what it was. And it influenced me so much. And I always, I will always say, I answer, when I took the pandemic, when we got into lockdown, I went back to all the episodes I'd done of Triad Queen at the Movies, 13 years worth. And I answered every single comment that anybody had made.
Over 13 years.
Yep. That's what I did in lockdown. I answered all their comments, whether they, and
not to make you feel bad, but I do that on a regular basis. I go to Wendy Stuart TV.
Yeah.
And even on Facebook, though, or even on this show, people will make comments. I go back because we're supposed to interact with them. They gave us the time,
and they gave
to
us
watch what we did,
and they took the time to comment.
That's how I agree.
And it was terrific. It's terrific to make contact with these people and to say and what they say, and I think that's, if they took the time to watch and then they took the time to comment, you better, it's a takeoff on that old Hedy Lamarr line from,
tell me,
she used to Hedy Lamarr when she wrote that book, Ecstasy and Me, which is questionable whether she wrote it.
She didn't do Ecstasy.
But Ecstasy and Me, she wrote, I always felt that if a man gave you a gold key to his apartment, you owed him the courtesy of a visit.
Of at least showing up. Oh my gosh, I love it. Steve, how do you deal with today's movie industry, today's theatrical industry? I'm curious about your opinion on it, because the era that you so love and that was so well known and really produced incredible stars, for you, what's lacking for you now? Oh, I'm leading the witness. Take me out and shoot me.
No, I love Perry Mason. You're great. Yeah. No, I think, what's lacking? I think that they need to make more movies about people at this era and interacting with each other and trying to survive at this particular era, dealing with the things that they do. I don't think everything has to be a message movie. I think the biggest thing that is missing from movies is entertainment.
You hit the nail on the head.
They used to have movies just to entertain people.
Right.
You went to see a musical for the entertain or a story to entertain. You didn't always have to have a message. It wasn't the disease of the week. It wasn't the message, the message of the week. And I think that's a problem. However, I do think some amazing films have come out in the past few years. I mean, one of the last ones that really blew me out of the water was with Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri.
That was, but okay, let's talk about Frances McDormand, because we started talking about classics and personalities and people that were intense and in many ways bigger than life. The way she played that, it was unbelievable.
The way she plays everything.
It's right. The characterizations. And for me, the films that I like now, it's heavy characterization.
Yes.
That is an actor that is completely consumed by the role. Mm-hmm.
But I miss the wonderful interest in language that they used to have. The reason that All About Eve and Stage Door and Sunset Boulevard, these movies had incredible dialogue.
Right.
They were witty. There's a lack of wit now. Things aren't witty so much anymore.
Right. That's something you would watch for. You're a witty kind of guy.
I like wit. I do.
I like wit.
I remember as a kid, I would watch, I would watch Three Stooges and all that slapstick stuff. And then one night, my mother never understood my love of old movies. But one night I was maybe 13 years old. My mother said, "There's a movie on tonight and I want you to watch it. And as soon as it is, you can go to bed. It doesn't end until 1 a.m.
I love that.
And she said, you have to go right to bed. And and she came in, she didn't tell me what it was.
She raised your
right. She turned it on and she sat me down in front of the TV and I watched Auntie Mame.
I love your mother.
And I
how
got it.
many kids can say that, right?
You know, and I got the wit. I mean, I got
right.
I went, oh, she's
you got
funny.
It, right?
You know, Rosalind
How
Russell,
old were you?
Like 12, 13.
Right, that your mother did that.
Yeah.
You can, Steve, you can't go to bed till you watch Auntie Mame.
That scene when she's trying to do that, when she's trying to do be the receptionist, Whittaker got him an apple with black, white, but you know, she's doing all that. And the way she would, her timing was, I learned
amazing.
about timing.
You learned about timing, yeah.
People talk about Lucille Ball, and they're right. Lucille Ball
I think
was
she's
amazing,
brilliant. Her
timing was amazing. Roz had timing up the wazoo.
Absolutely.
She was just, you know, and not all of those people could do that kind of comedy.
Absolutely.
You know, Joan could not be funny. Susan Hayward could not be funny.
No, but they had a whole other
You know who was
thing.
Funny? Barbara Stanwyck.
Barbara Stanwyck was funny. Yeah. Barbara Stanwyck
There's
was
a line
funny.
she has in The Lady Eva. She looks across the room. When she looks across the room, she says about Henry Fonda, she goes, I need that guy like the axe needs the Turk.
You know, this is so funny that you grew up to be able to channel each and every one of your ladies, your men, anyone that you loved.
Well, the LSD was really good in the 70s.
I love it. That's where you got to this point from the LSD you did in the 70s. I knew it. I called it.
I don't recommend LSD at all.
No,
not at all. I don't recommend any kind of drugs at all.
So I want to know what's going on with your life story. When can we expect this? The book is
my life story.
Your life story has got to be out there. I want to hear the book that you're working on.
Oh my God, I don't know. We're working about.
I put you in the hot seat.
My friend, I did a show. I did a show a few years ago called Steve Hayes Hollywood Reunion, where one-man show where I went out to spend Christmas with my friend who had just lost his lover of a long term. And I said to him when I came out, he was my roommate in college, and he was a big movie queen like I am. And I said to him, look, if I come out there and give up my Christmas for you in LA, I want a Hollywood Christmas. I said, I want to go to the house where Gloria Swanson shot William Holden in Sunset Boulevard. Right. I want to go to the house where Barbara Stanwyck got shot by Fred McMurray at the end of Double Indemnity. And I want to go see Lana Turner's house where her daughter stabbed Johnny Stompanato. I want to see them all.
That's it. Oh, you're not allowed to bang on the table or producer choices.
So okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. So, yes.
You're fine. So you demanded it and you got it.
And I got it. We had a wonderful Hollywood, crazy Hollywood.
I love that
thing. We went to see we went to Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh, that's that cemetery.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God.
I've heard it's incredible. I have never been there, and I'm dying to go.
God, I love cemeteries. It's gorgeous. And we went, Hattie McDaniel, when she got her Oscar for Gone with the Wind, she didn't get a real Oscar. So I got a little miniature Oscar, and I was going to put it on her she has it's not her grave. They wouldn't let her be buried there, but her nephew put up this beautiful monument for her. And there were these two German Eurotrash queens there. And they said, I'm about to do this. And they turned down, they said, who's this was Hattie McDaniel?
Oh.
And I said to them,
they didn't know where they were.
Hattie McDaniel as Mammy in Gone with the Wind.
I love it. The German accent. Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
And then out of nowhere, this goose came running out of the pond and chased us all around as if to say, get away from here, get away from here.
What a completely bizarre scene.
Oh, it was
describing
wonderful.
with the
whole story.
Gone with the Wind and the goose. And the goose. So you carefully avoided when I asked you when we can expect your memoir, and that's fine. But somebody like you, definitely, think about it. It's just a matter, all the stuff we talked about, all the stuff you've done, my God.
Well,
you're an inspiration, and you're entertaining as anything.
Oh, honey, you're so sweet. We have a good time.
We have a good time because it's about a good time, and we had great conversation today. Give me everything that's up and coming for you and your handles. I love that. Your handles.
There's two down here and there's one over here. No, right now I'm getting ready to go to London. I'm going to London on the 1st of December until the 15th. I'm going to celebrate my 70th birthday. That's my present.
Fabulous.
So that's the main thing I'm focusing on.
And you're going to see a lot of theater.
Yeah. I'm going to see a lot of oh, you know what I'm going to go see? I'm going to go up to Bath to see Haley Mills and Rula Lenska.
Rula Lenska.
I'm Rula Lenska. Yes, I'm going to see.
I love it. I demand a picture from Bath.
Well, we're going to see, they're doing a stage version of the Marigold Hotel up in Bath. And so we're going to see that. And then I'm going to see my first Christmas panto. I'm going to see Mother Goose with Ian McKellen. First Christmas panto.
This is so incredible.
Yeah, and London is my favorite city. except for New York. London's my favorite city.
You love it.
Oh yeah, I always felt like I lived there, and I'm a big fan of English history, especially Queen Elizabeth R, the first one. You know, Glenda Jackson.
So you connect to it.
Oh, I do.
I connect to English Gardens.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like I love it.
I watch all I watch is BBC. I watch these murder mysteries, Midsummer Murders and Foyle's War.
BBC's great.
BBC's great.
BBC's great.
Agatha Christie.
So in the spring we can see your performance
by Hitchcock Show here in March.
Okay, we don't have the exact date
yet,
but it'll be at PANGEA in March. And if you watch the show, I will tell you. Steve will of course be in touch with me and let me know. So we don't want you to fall through the cracks on that.
My God. I'm too big to fall through cracks now. I cause cracks. I don't fall through.
I love what you said about the handles. Whenever I'm on a show, they interview me and they ask me, what are your handles? And I always say, I've got more handles in a dresser drawer. I like that. I got a handle here.
No, listen, I said to somebody the other day, I said, I'm so big now in the back and, in the caboose. I said, I was walking on the street. I stepped up on the sidewalk and a car pulled up and said, are you leaving that spot? And I wasn't in the car at the time.
Okay. I totally love that. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. Steve Hayes. Oh, Suze, it's nice to see you. Always tunes in. Jack had lots of comment. Thanks, guys and gals. Thank you, all the guys and gals who tuned in to watch.
And
everybody loves Steve, and we found out why.
Thank you so much.
You,
and thank you all for watching.
We'll see you next week.
Woman.
Thank you.